Whitesboro residents voted on Monday night to keep their small town's controversial seal rather than to replace it with a new image. The controversial town seal, which dates back to 1883, shows a white man, a settler, with his hands apparently choking a Native American man. It's caused a lot of controversy for years. This is nothing new. Many have called it racist and offensive. Elliot, let's go full screen on it. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Let's let the viewers see.
So the counter argument to this is actually, when you said it's a white man, is actually Hugh White.
Yes.
Who's the founder of the town, which is where the name comes from, Whitesboro. It's not, this is a bunch of white people. It happens to be that his last name was White. Now, if you go onto the Whitesboro website, I encourage viewers to do so, do the research. It says the following. It says, he, meaning Hugh White, lived among the Indians as their friend, and the village seal depicts a friendly wrestling match that helped foster good relations between White and the Indians.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that?
Well, I would imagine it's probably the foundation of Hugh White. So that is what the argument is. So that's what those 212 individuals who voted in favor of this feel.
Right, and they wouldn't lie on their own website.
No, I mean, listen, I asked you the question, does that look like a friendly wrestling match, or does it look like he's trying to strangle him within an inch of his life?
He does, because if you look at the facial expressions, you know, he's got the advantage, he's taking him down, his hands are on his neck. I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
He's tipping over, this guy, isn't he? Look, he's tipping over. There's either I don't know if it's a grimace or a smile. He looks a little demonic, and the poor Indian doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun, I got to be honest with you.
He definitely doesn't, you know? I mean, look, the whole argument that this is nothing but helpless little two boys fighting, you know, having fun wrestling. I don't necessarily buy it. And you know, we've done stories similar to this on the lip. I've previously talked about, for example, Harvard Law School's seal, where you know they had some bundles of wheat, which was suggestive of you know the slave days and you know the past and Harvard Law School's history. But I think this is very different. I mean, if that was a black man, for example. If that was a slave, I think, you know, they would have gotten rid of it a long time ago. But the fact that it's a Native American is a little bit, you know, people are like, it's overlooked. They don't feel, you know, as much empathy, I guess, or I don't know what it is. But, you know, you have teams like the Redskins, for example. We would never be okay with having a team like the Blackskins, for example. You can't do that kind of stuff. But for some reason in this country, when it comes to Native Americans, people are kind of, blasé.
Right, they're not quite as energized, and they don't find it, for some reason, they don't find it quite as offensive.
Right.
Because I guess in lots of respects, that's part of the history that it's overlooked and it's overshadowed, and perhaps the Native Americans themselves don't feel as though they have enough of a voice, and they don't feel as energized and as visible in terms of reasserting their rights. Right. As the African American community, for example.
Exactly, and people are very adamant.
That's not to say that that's I'm not victim blaming here. Yeah. It's just that perhaps that is. I'm trying to seek an explanation as to why we, as the sort of Caucasian majority, there is not more popular outrage against things like this, which just seems so ridiculous.
Right, and you know, people are very adamant about things like this, for keeping these things in place, for example, the same way they are about the Confederate flag. And you know, the argument always is, and when I've done stories like this in the past, you know, I read some comments and people are saying things like, you don't understand, this is our history, you don't even know anything about the history, we need to preserve this stuff. Of course we do, I'm not saying we shouldn't, you know? That's not what I'm saying at all, but the fact is, though, put yourself in a Native American's shoes, right? If you were, let's say, walking by that sign, would you want to see a Native American being depicted as somebody getting choked out by some settler? I mean, land that was originally his, and now, you know, the white man comes in and we're taking him down like, woo, you know? It's like, try to put yourself in their shoes. No one's talking about erasing history. That's clearly not what it's about.
No, and from my opinion, the Confederate flag, the argument is, well, it's part of my heritage. Well, part of your heritage involved, indentured slavery and was, a systematic abuse. And so, of an entire generation of individuals to your own gain. So, to be honest with you, that is an offensive part of history, which I'm not seeking to sanitize. But what is the need for it?
Exactly. Well, this is the way it stands for now. That seal clearly is not going anywhere, offensive or not.